I'm Dr. Alicia, I'm a veterinarian, and currently PETA is suing the American Kennel Club over breed standards. I want to tell you guys all about this because this is actually a huge moment for brachiocephalic breeds and a couple other breeds as well. So it's a case that deals with health and ethics and ultimately what our favorite dog breeds have to endure in order to look cute. So let's dive in. Okay, I have my little notes with me so I don't miss anything because this is honestly a huge lawsuit that could have some incredible ramifications if it, goes well for the dog breeds that we love and want to be healthy and happy. So, on July 8th, 2025, PETA sued the American Kennel Club in the New York Supreme Court. They demanded that the AKC drop the official breeding standards for a bunch of different dogs. The French Bulldog, the Bulldog, the Pug, the Dachshund, and the Shar-Pei. And PETA claimed that these breed standards promoted deformities, suffering, and even premature death. They said that they were prioritizing appearance over canine well-being, which honestly, I have to agree with. I've thought this for a long time of why are we creating these dogs just to please what owners think is cute? But in reality, these dogs are suffering. And you might say to me, Dr. Leash, are these dogs actually suffering? My Frenchie seems fine. Yes, they are. With French Bulldogs and Bulldogs in general and Pugs and other brachiocephalic dogs, or think any smushed faced dog, and then this also goes for cats as well, so keep that in mind, they struggle to breathe. Plain and simple, these dogs can't breathe. Their face is so flat that their airway is like breathing out of a straw. But they suffer from so many other conditions like airway issues, overheating, dental diseases because their mouth is so squished together. They have too many teeth in such a tiny little mouth. And they often need C-sections in order to give birth because their anatomy doesn't allow them to birth naturally. That's not okay. Okay, and then dachshunds, let's talk about them. Our cute little wiener dogs who we know and love, but who ultimately have horrible back issues because we have stretched their backs well beyond their limits. So dachshunds, we all know, have long backs, short legs. This puts them at risk of spinal diseases, paralysis, and so many joint problems. PETA said dachshunds are like a poorly designed bridge. And I think that's actually, it's kind of a funny comparison, comparing a dachshund to a bridge, but I think it's so accurate. You want your bridge to be strong and sturdy, but instead these dachshunds are flimsy and at risk of breaking. You have to be so delicate with lifting them, and a dog shouldn't live in constant fear of having its back broken. That's horrible. And then it talks about Chinese Shar-Peis. So those are the really wrinkly dogs. I'll be honest, I do think they're really cute. Honestly, I think all these dogs are really cute, but it's not fair. And so they were saying that their extreme wrinkles and small ears lead to skin and ear infections, painful eye issues, and then this condition that's known as a Shar-Pei autoinflammatory disease. So these were the breeds that they chose to single out in this lawsuit, and they're basically just saying that the AKC standards are creating dogs that aren't living a good quality of life. They're saying that these dogs are created and bred to appease our visual, desires, for lack of a better word, what we want to see in a dog, but we're not taking into account the dog's health and well-being. The AKC, then pushed back and was like, no, we're, definitely considering the dog's health when we're coming up with these breed standards. And, these breed standards are created alongside a veterinarian, and, responsibly bred dogs remain healthy. And then they also said that they've invested over $40 million in canine health research since 1995, which, so be it, but it doesn't negate the fact that these dogs are suffering now, even if you have invested that much money into dog research. What's interesting to me is it feels like America is just behind the times on so many different things. Other countries have already started stopping the overbreeding and poor breeding of these breeds. For example, I did some research, and the Netherlands has banned breeding of brachiocephalic dogs, and Norway has partially upheld bans on certain breeds, especially brachiocephalic dogs. And then I think in the UK, their veterinary association is also like publicly campaigning against brachiocephalic dogs. So there's a lot of movement towards banning and stopping the breeding of these like, you know, horribly bred dogs. And at the end of the day, it's honestly a debate about ethics. Basically set them up with a lifetime of suffering just to please our standards. And if this, you know, goes in favor of PETA, it could really set the precedent for, you know, bettering the lives of animals and putting their quality of life over, you know, our desires, which as a veterinarian is 100% what I want to see happen. However, some people are pissed because they think that PETA is overstepping and that they need to stay in their lane. And honestly, I think that's a stupid argument, if I'm being quite honest, because PETA's lane is animal welfare. And do I think that they overstep often? Yes, I do. But in this case, I think they're well within their rights to advocate for the welfare of these breeds. So I am dying to know your thoughts on this. Do you support PETA? Do you support the AKC? If you own a Frenchie or a pug or Shar Pei or a dachshund, what is your take on this? Because as a veterinarian, I can sit here and say, you know, like sit on my high horse and be like, well, it's wrong. These animals have a poor quality of life. But as owners, you know, I'm sure your pets do have a lovely life. It's hard. I'm talking more overall quality of life in seeing a bunch of different animals come into the clinic every day. And so even though your animal has a great quality of life overall for the breed, I do think it's decreased compared to other breeds. But again, I'm curious your opinion, you know, as a Frenchie owner, as a pug owner, like who do you support in this battle? And I'm very curious to follow it through. I'll keep you guys updated because it's interesting.